Hi, my name is Kevin Ye. I'm the country chair of MDRT South Africa. Join me as I interview financial advisors who are also MDRT members as they share their life story, lessons, and experience and tips on personal finance. So today I'm privileged to interview. I have Ebrahim Talia on this program, and Ebrahim Talia, he has been a stalwart of our profession industry. He's from Ebrahim Talia and Associates. Ebrahim, how are you today?
I'm fine, thank you. And how are you, Kevin?
Fine, thanks.
I'm fine.
Ebrahim, I'm very glad to have to kick off 2022 with an interview with you. And it's a pleasure. I've never met you, but through MDRT, I got to know you. And I'd like to ask you, where did you grow up? What did you study? Tell us about a bit about your background.
Yeah, my background is very sketchy. I don't have very much education. I'm just educated to standard 6. What had happened is I was the eldest in my family, and I had to look after my siblings with my dad, because he was not educated either. So when I got as far as standard 6, I had to then leave school to assist him in the little business that he had so we could take care of the family. Right. And, in those days with the apartheid rules and that, we were not free to move around. So I grew up in a place called Pageview, which was very fondly known as Fitas, which we'll come to later, but that is where I grew up. That is where I was born, and that is where I was until I left school. So it was tough. I was with my dad for approximately 10, 12 years. And in between, what had happened is we got into financial difficulty and we had to be liquidated. The business had to be liquidated, and we were completely without any income. And then we sort of started all over again. And after a couple of years, I decided to get married as I grew older, because I was now at 23 and I needed to settle down, and I got married. But
which year was that?
Sorry?
Which year was that?
1965.
Wow, that's before I was born.
Probably, I don't know. So anyway, I got married. I took the plunge, although there wasn't a sort of income, but I needed to get settled. So I did get married. I got married, and that's how my life started. And then within a few months, I realized that I had to do something now, because there was not sufficient income from what we were doing. Okay. And I looked around, I always had in mind that I wanted to meet people and I wanted to do something. It wasn't life insurance, but anything where I could interact with people. I always had that in my mind. I wanted to be sort of a rep. So I thought about it, and then I knew somebody who was doing life insurance, who was with the company called Sun Life of Canada. Okay. And I approached this gentleman, and he interviewed me and looked at me, and because of my background, that he said he doesn't think that I would probably make it in this industry. Okay. Yeah. And what I then did is I tried different companies. In fact, I went to a lot of companies in Johannesburg. Those days there was Legal in General, there was Old Mutual, and most of them, once you did the test, they came back negative, and they said, look, probably because of my background in that, they said, look, we don't think you're going to make it in this industry. Yeah. But be as it may, I was fortunate enough, there was a gentleman at African Life. Yeah, it's a company that's since long been liquidated, closed. So I went up to them. They were in Braamfontein. I'll never forget. They were right across the road from the University of the Witwatersrand. Yeah. And they were looking for representatives, and I went there and I introduced myself. And I got the job very easily. They took me on very easily, and I suspected that something is not 100% because everybody's refusing. And now somebody's just saying suddenly, okay,
Yeah.
So anyway, that happened. And those days, they gave you a rate book, and they threw you to the wolves. They said, go and find clients. Sign up. There's no compliance, nothing. You just take the rate book and go and look for clients.
Yeah.
So anyway, as I was very raw and green, I took the stuff and I went. And I saw a couple of clients. I wrote one policy. I'll never forget. I wrote one policy. And then they had a branch meeting, and I went to the branch meeting. And I sat in on this meeting, and I started hearing all sorts of different things, and I couldn't identify with this. They were talking about all sorts of, and then I asked somebody, I said, what are they talking about?
Yeah.
Because I'm foreign to this. So they said, what they're talking about is you need to get business, even if you can get people that have passed on, you get the IDs or something, write the business, you collect the commission, and then you let the policy lapse, so you get the money. I thought to myself, I said, what, I'm in bad company here. So I didn't say anything. I left the meeting and I went.
Yeah.
And then I said, this is not a good company. And then I went around again. And eventually I got to the Prudential those days.
Prudential.
Prudential insurance company those days. Prudential, which then became Liberty Life, you see. So I went to Prudential, and there was a manager who was quite receptive, and I told him my story, and I think he actually felt me pity more than anything else. Yeah. And he said, look, what I can do for you, it was now September 1968. Right? So it was, I got married in 65, it was September 68. And he said, okay, look, what I'll do is I'll give you a chance, but you have to do this on a part-time basis. What you'll have to do, if you're working somewhere, just keep your job, and you go after hours and you look for clients, and, I'll monitor this and we'll see how it goes. So anyway, I took on the challenge. So the first thing I did is I went to that client that I had sold, the one policy. I told him, please cancel your policy. I'm going to put you with another company. I'll pay that 5 Rand or 10 Rand premium those days. Yeah. So I'll pay that, but please cancel that policy. We're going to go to another company. So we did that, and then that's how it started. Yeah. And I used to go around in the evenings, go around weekends, looking for clients. Yeah. And, that's how the whole story started. And then 68 went by, 69, I did a little bit of business, not too much, but I still had my job, 70, 71, 72, they gave me a contract in January. They said, we think you'll be okay, and I haven't looked back since then. So okay. That's how that is where the story started, I had no inclination that I was going to be here 50 years later.
That's amazing. So you from what you are talking about your background, you really went through the school of hard knocks, hardship, and that's how you started. Just tell me, you mentioned about the place you grew up. Where is it?
It's in Johannesburg. It's a suburb of Johannesburg. It's near Mayfair.
Okay.
Very close to Braamfontein. Very close to Braamfontein. Yeah, very close to Braamfontein.
Okay.
But this drama doesn't end there, I got the job. I was supposed to go in January on the 1st to go and report for work at the branch, because now everything was sorted out. So I got there in January. Yeah. I got to the branch where they put me. It was in Braamfontein. Yeah. So the first obstacle we had as we got there, the first day the manager sat me down and he said, we have a problem. So I said, what is the problem? So he says, you know what? We don't have separate restrooms here. And because of the apartheid system, you need separate restrooms for whites and non-whites. Yeah. I said, look, you know what? Whatever the problem is, I will go and find a restroom somewhere, but I need this job very desperately, Yeah. So anyway, he saw the desperation and he said, okay. And then a couple of days later, he called me. He says, look, don't worry. We will make some sort of arrangement to use this restroom when you want to. So even the first day at work was like a problem,
Yeah. Wow, that's
It was a challenge, yeah. It was a hell of a challenge.
nowadays it's just unthinkable, you know, like for people of different colors, you have to go to separate bathrooms.
No, if I tell people my story, they don't believe it. They say it can't be, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's how this whole journey began, you know. So.
And you mentioned about initially you sold policy like 5 rand, 10 rand. Was it like the average policy size at the time?
Yeah. You know what? And when the thing is, you know, when I started and when I was working the day and I had to go and sit in the evening and talk to clients, you won't believe it. Sometimes I used to, you know, those days, of course, things were different. I mean, you could go out at night and you know, you'd be safe.
Yeah.
So some days I would sit till 9, 10 o'clock to write 110 rand policy, you know.
Sure.
And you know, the thing is, I've still got some of those policies on my books.
And it's still 10 rand, or does it actually?
No, they're okay. Some of the life policies are still carry on. You know? I've still got a couple on my books. In fact, I've got some of the endowments that are maturing now.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
Wow. Okay. And,
you know what Liberty did? You know what Liberty did, Kevin?
Yeah.
A couple of years ago, they said anybody paying less than 10 rands, it's costing us money, so we won't charge you a premium anymore.
Oh, so it won't charge premium. So essentially,
because they say it's costing them money to collect the
free, so they don't have to incur the admin charge and debit order and things like that.
That's right. Yeah.
Wow, that's you know, nowadays 5 rand, 10 rand. What can that get you? But you know, 40 or 50 years ago, I suppose that was quite a big money.
Well, look, I must tell you, you know, I had a client in those years who bought a policy for 32 rand.
Yeah.
I know the average was 5 rand, eh, Kevin? Now, if I look back today, right, I sit and I reflect on it because this guy has done so well.
Yeah.
He has become a billionaire, you know. But I think the thing is, this fellow had this vision, you know, and he always wanted to do things in a big way. You know, now you must remember I'm writing 5 and 6 rand policies, and I get a person buying a 32, 34 rand policy. You know?
Yeah.
So it's a big deal for me. Wow. But if I reflect now where this guy is sitting now, you know, he's got a yacht and he's, you know, he's relaxing and, you know, this guy is like a billionaire. So now I'm putting in my mind and I'm saying, you know what, this guy had the vision that time to do something. You know?
Wow,
so
that's amazing. So
you meet different people along the way, you know.
Yeah. So initially, do you just go around in your neighborhood to see people and sign a policy? Did you have
let me tell you
around?
Yeah, those days we could go around, we could knock on doors at night, people would open the door, and you would go in. And I had a very nasty experience. I can't remember now, but it was very early in my career. I had a very nasty experience. I went to this person, knocked on the door. It was in the evening, around about 7:38. And he opened the door. It was an elderly man, right? And I said, you know, I introduced myself and I said, you know, I'm here from the insurance company and this, that, and the other. And I told him, sorry. So he said, okay, hold on. I waited at the door. I'm waiting. This is like, I can picture it now, you know, because it's like happened now. Waiting, and he comes back. He comes back with a little puppy, you know, white puppy, you know, little doggy, white puppy.
Yeah.
And he points to the puppy, right? And he tells me, you know what? I respect this puppy more than I respect you, insurance people.
So
I looked at him and I got a hell of a shock, you know.
Yeah.
So I looked at him. He was an elderly gentleman. So I said, look, uncle, I think something happened to you. Please, will you explain to me? Because I think you had some nasty experience. Because you are now telling me something, you know, that is on your chest and you want to get it off. But it's something that happened to you. Yeah. But if you just allow me to come in and tell me the experience that you had so I can understand what happened to you.
Yeah.
So anyway, he invited me in and he told me the story. He said, you know what happened? You see, in those days, what used to happen, Kevin, people used to go around every month or every week to collect the premium. There were no debit orders in it. And it was small premium. Small premium. You know, they went around, and this was a company called Homes Trust. And they were doing mainly funeral policies.
Okay.
You know, they were only selling funeral policies, mainly. So the agent used to come around, collect the money, And when this man's wife passed away, when he submitted the claim, this fellow hadn't paid the premiums.
Oh, so that agent just pocketed all the money.
Yeah, he pocketed the money, and now this man was sitting with his wife's funeral, and he had no money, and that is why he was reacting the way he reacted with me. You see?
Sure.
Because I understood why he was telling me that now. You see?
Yeah.
So then I sat down, I calmed, and I looked at it, and I said, you know what? This man is justified in saying what he did, because I mean, can you imagine your wife had passed away? Yeah. You go and report the funeral, and they tell you got no cover. So you've got a problem, isn't it? Yeah. So you see, that was the type of things that were going on in between, you know. People were collecting money, pocketing money. So it was difficult because people to trust insurance people, you know, we had a bad name. So we had to now fix all these things up. But slowly it got right. Eventually I got friendly with him. I didn't sell him a policy. But I became, you know, close to him, and we were chatting always, you know, we were like visiting each other and so on. You know?
Okay.
So but I got to the bottom of it. I wanted to know why did he react like that? Because there must be some reason. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. That's a valuable lesson there.
No, that was a great lesson I learned very early on in my life. You
know? Yeah. And Talia, Ebrahim, that you know, obviously over such a long career, you have built up your book. How many policies or clients are you looking after at this stage?
Well, currently, my client base is roughly between 12 and 1400, and that is why I'm trying to get other people in with me to try and now sort of, you know, share some of the burden, you know.
Sure.
So I've got one currently with me. I'm looking at one or two others in this year to see, so we can sort of, you know, because it's physically impossible for somebody to look after so many clients. It's impossible.
Yeah.
Physically impossible.
Yeah.
It's impossible.
And how many?
Actually, I'm doing a disservice to my clients because I can't get to them.
Yeah. How many people do you employ?
I've got two ladies, and I've got this youngster now with me, right? So we're managing.
Right. Okay. And so right now, who are your target markets? Are you actively out looking for new clients, or you really just, given your stage of your career, you're just looking after your book of clients? That's already more than what you can actually cope.
I'm fortunate, Kevin. Currently, I don't really go and look for new business, you know. I'm getting from the existing clients, what is happening is I'm getting referrals, and I'm getting their family people and their business maturing, and I'm getting new business. So really speaking, I'm not really, you know, looking for new business.
Sure.
But I mean, if somebody comes, it's a new client, I will assess the situation and see, you know. But I do have, and I'll come to that a bit later to tell you how I got to this stage, you know. Somebody that helped me to get here, you know, to do this. Somebody that we all know very well. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So, how did you get to know about MDRT?
Well, it's also something I always knew there was an organization called MDRT. I always knew that because I always had a focus that one day I would belong to that organization. But I didn't understand, you know, the extent of you know, MDRT. Yeah. And it was a chance meeting in 1985. There was a multi-red forum, you know, in Sun City.
Okay.
Right. So I went to this in 85, and I met a man called Mehdi Fakhrizadeh. Right? He was an Iranian, and I got close to him, you know, and we built up a friendship. And while he was here, we made arrangement to have lunch and, you know, supper and so on. And he visited my home, you know, while he was here. And then he started asking me some questions, you know. And I'll never forget, we went to lunch, and my manager was with me because I invited my manager, you see, my then manager. And I said, you know what, I've met this person from America, he's with MDRT, and, you know, he's very popular and very well known, you know. And we'd like to have lunch with him. So anyway, we went to lunch, and he was asking questions most of the time, you know. So he's asking like what production you're doing and this and that and the other sorts of things. And I was, in my mind, I thought I was doing, I was really doing well, in my mind, in my context, in the South African context. So he listened very carefully. And at the end of the conversation, he looked at me and he said, you know what? I think you're wasting your time, you're wasting your company's time, and you're wasting your family's time, if that is all you're doing. Because I think you need to find another job, I said,
that must be quite a shock to you.
Yeah. I said, really what? He says, look, I can tell you something now, and I'll never forget these words always in my ear. He said, look, if I tell you to stand on the corner here, any corner, he says, and every day goes by here, and you ask the guy if you want to buy insurance, he says, look, at the end of the day, you will at least get 2-3 people to say yes. So you'll still do better than what you're doing now. So he says, I don't think you're working hard enough. I don't think you're doing what you're supposed to do. Because this production you're telling me is really not, he says, look, you can qualify for MDRT, but it's like just about breaking even, It's not what you should be doing, And I couldn't understand, So he said, look, what I'll do, it's 85 now. Next year, 86, you come to MDRT.
Okay.
And he says, look, if you can't afford it, tell me, I will make a point to get you there. But I think you need to come to MDRT.
Okay.
Once at least to see, So I thought about it in 86. I made up my mind, and it was a family meeting in Orlando, Florida. Right? And I get there, and the first thing I land in New York, I stay a night there, and then I go to Florida, and this is very foreign to me because this is not South Africa, This is a huge cultural shock, big things, all the big buildings and all sorts of things, So anyway, I get to Florida, and now it's the morning of the MDRT. I see this whole thing going on, and I see, well, you know what? Now this looks like I'm in a different country, in a different world, But anyway, I see that. Now I heard about Ben Feldman, right?
Yeah.
The great Ben Feldman. I heard about him because we were reading books and all that, right? So as I come out to go the first day, I see him walking out. So I go up to him and I greet him and I say, Mr. Feldman, this, that, and the other. And he greets me and he says, where are you from? And I spoke to him. And I'll never forget, he puts his arm around me because he asked me what my production was and so on. So he put his arm around me and he whispered in my ear. He says, son, I was like you once, but one day you may be like me. He says, you never know. He says, you came to the right place. Let's go to a meeting. So I followed him, went to a meeting. He went his way because they normally sit in the front. And I went and took my seat. And that's how I got introduced to MDRT. When I saw this, I realized and that was the first family meeting. So there were about 6,000 people because you were allowed to bring your spouse, you see. So it was awesome. I had never seen something like that in my life. So that's how this whole thing started. And I must tell you that I've been fortunate that since then, I've had 18 meetings, MDRT meetings.
Right.
Had 4 top of the table meetings, and I've had 4 of the there's the other ones that were in Malaysia and so on. I had 4. So in total, I've had about 26, meetings.
So, all right.
But that was the beginning.
Are all these meetings in America, or you went to other places?
No. The MDRT is all in America, right? Every one of the MDRT, the top of the table were in America.
Yeah.
The experiences were in Asia, like Malaysia and Singapore and Orlando.
Yeah.
And not Orlando, Thailand.
Okay.
Thailand. Yeah.
Right.
So I've been fortunate, I've been blessed, and I'm very, very happy because I met some wonderful people along the way that have played such a big role in my career. I can't tell you.
Sure. Okay. And what has been your involvement with MDRT? Were you
when I used to go there,
committees or became involved in some of the volunteer work?
Yes, I used to do some volunteering, like PGA, seating people, doing this, that. Then we also had, sometimes the first-time orientation, the first-time orientation people. Now, I must tell you a very interesting story about the first-time orientation. Yeah, it was a few years ago. I got there and we're sitting there. Normally, you have a group of about 5 or 6 people, and then you share your experiences.
Yeah.
I tell you, as I went around the table, I met a guy there that had joined in September of that year, and he qualified for top of the table.
Mm.
So I told this gentleman, I said, you know what? I think you should be talking to us. We should be talking to you.
Yeah. All right.
So you meet all sorts of people there.
Mm.
And that's when you realize that there's a bigger world there, and there's, it just depends how far you can stretch your mind.
Yeah. So I'm sure you have been to many meetings and many great memories, and met wonderful people, and that help you along the way. But you also share your experience. And so, what does MDRT mean to you?
Well, MDRT. I think what MDRT means to me, it's given me, my whole sort of, it's brought my whole life together, because it's got the whole life concept. It's got people where you can assist people, with the foundation. You can assist people like mentoring. You can help people. So I think MDRT is a complete story. You can really balance your life as long as you can sit and adjust and see where you want to do. Because I think there are so many things you can do within MDRT to not only better yourself, but to assist other people. And I mean, the friendships that I've made over the years, it's invaluable. I mean, they're all around the world. I met some big names. I've met there. Okay, I don't have a personal relationship, but if it wasn't for MDRT, I wouldn't have met them.
Yeah.
I just mentioned to you Ben Feldman, right? I met a guy called Bruce Essington from Canada. Yeah. And Mehdi became a very good friend of mine. We became very, very good friends, because every year when I went to MDRT, we used to have lunch until he recently passed away. So, you build up these friendships, and you meet some big people there, They come. And what is the good thing about MDRT? When you hear somebody speak, or if you enjoy this talk, or if you want that person to help you, they're so willing to assist you.
Yeah.
They are so willing to assist you, because, their saying is that if you've grown because of somebody, let someone grow because of you.
Yes.
That's the MDRT motto. If you've grown because of somebody, let somebody grow because of you. And I think they apply that, to the team, because if you go and ask anybody for help after the guy's spoken or wherever, then okay. In the old days, not in the old days, when I went initially, what used to happen is in the evenings, all these main platform speakers, they used to gather in the foyer. They used to sit, and then people like us, younger, we used to go and sit around them, and we used to have a chat. And there was a guy called John Savage,
yes,
who passed on. Yeah. Now, his motto, he taught me one thing. He says, look, whatever you do in the year, come 31st of December, everything is gone. He says, you've got to start in January. Yeah. So he says, let me give you an advice. All the certificates that you've collected in the year, take them all and go and put them in the fireplace, because they won't mean a thing to you next year. You've got to start all over again. That's the type of chat you used to have with them one-on-one, Yeah. I mean, they sit in the foyer there and we could talk to them, But of course, that has now changed, because now you've got properly structured programs, you see. Now, these days, you don't have that type of thing anymore. So those are the little things where you must. Then, of course, I met Tony Gordon. Everybody knows Tony Gordon from England, Yeah. And he taught me a few lessons, So they all played their part, to get me where I am. But I must tell you, the person that played a very, very big role in my life is a man called Derek Dingle from Boksburg.
Wow, I've heard David Dingle so many times.
Closest to home. 6 months. Because I heard him, I think it was I'm not sure whether it's 93 or 94, but Derek will be able to tell me that. And the talk that he gave was Goalposts in My Mind.
Okay.
Goalposts in My Mind. Right? And that thing stuck in my head, because what he said appealed to me. As soon as I came back, I called him and I said, Derek, I need to come and visit you, and I need to see the system that you're using.
Yeah.
Because this appeals to me.
Mm.
So we made an appointment and I went to visit him, and he explained to me his whole system. His today, tomorrow, and yesterday girl. That's his famous system. And I'm sure he won't mind if I break it down and tell you exactly what he told me. You see, he sat me down and he said, look, how do you do your business? This, that. We had a chat. And he said, look, in order to use my system, what you have to do, what he was doing is, first of all, he broke it down. He said, look, there's 52 weeks in a year. So he says, we can only work 40 weeks. Let's take 12 weeks out. So he says, if we take 40 weeks and we take 5 days a week, we've got 200 days. You see how he's breaking it down? So he tells me, if we can do one case every day, you will have 200 cases in a year.
That's amazing.
Anybody that writes 200 cases, he says, we'll never starve in this business. You know, Derek, how he talks. So I said, okay, Derek, now tell me, how do I get to that? So he had a system. What he was doing is 2 months before the person's birthday, he used to send out a notice, with the guy's portfolio to say, I'm going to contact you and we're going to update your portfolio. Then he would phone the following month, that's a month before the birthday, and he would then. So I had a look at this and I tried that system, and I wasn't succeeding. The first year I didn't succeed, and I couldn't understand why, And then I went deeper into it and I realized what was happening. You see, his clients that he had where he was sending the letters to, or that time everything was through the mail. So they used to open the mail and they used to read it and then used to follow. When my guys, on the other hand, were taking it and putting it in the bin. So they were not reading what was in the envelope, you see. So I had to find now another way to try and get this thing sorted out, because I said, look, I'm not going to win this way. So it took me about 2 or 3 years, but I perfected the system. I'll tell you how I did that. Then what I did, I said, look, the best thing is now I'm not going to mail this anymore.
Okay.
I'm going to phone the guy 2 months in advance and say, look, I'm coming to see you or you come to my office. One of the two will make an appointment. Either way, we got to meet because I got to go over your portfolio. And I started with what Derek told me. I said, look, let me try for one policy a day. If I can write one policy, if I can get one person write one policy a day, I know at the end of the year I'll have 200. So the first year didn't go so well, but the next year I did the 200.
That's amazing.
Then, this is a good thing now. So then I said, you know what, I'm doing one. Let me do this. Let me try one in the morning, one in the afternoon. So I went for 400. So I went for 400. And it went to 400. It was okay, Then you know what happens. Human nature. I said, let me go for 3 now. One for one morning, afternoon, late afternoon. So that went to 600. So when I did that, I went to 660 the next year. Wow. So that was still working, you see. Now I think the big error I committed was from 660, my manager and they were challenging me. They said, you know what? What's the next target? So I started jumping. You see, I said, look, I think I'll do 1,000. Now that's very, very steep, because then you need 5 a day. I think that's where I made a mistake. But anyway, I took a chance on that and I finished with 760.
That's still brilliant.
Then I said, look, now I think I've had enough of Derek's plan. Now I need to stabilize this whole thing. So my biggest motivator and influencer is sitting here in Oxford. So he really taught me how to discipline and do the business. So I'm very ever so grateful to him. Really.
No, thanks. Thanks for sharing that. Okay, so you talked about where you are now, and you bring a young person to work in your business. So can you just share with us, how did you find the person? How do you go about finding that person, and how do you get that person to work under you, with you, to share your load?
Yeah, look, I'll tell you, Kevin, I've been trying this for a little while now, right? I've had 2 or 3 people that were with me that now went on their own and they're doing okay, you know. They were with me, but they're not with me anymore. But, you know, they learned with me and they went and they've got their own practice. Okay. Now I've got a youngster with me, but my idea is now different. I'm trying to get them to keep them in the practice to grow this practice now, you see? Not for them to leave and go and start. You know? Yeah. And also, if I get young people that want mentoring, and that I will try to assist them, you know? Because I think that is where the future is. We have to get more young people in there. Now, the only problem I'm having currently with the youngsters is some of them are asking me, how did you start? Now, the thing is, I can't tell them how I started because that whole circle has changed. I can't tell them to go and knock on doors, and because, first of all, you can't go and see people like that anymore. You know? No. I mean, in the evening, you can't go anywhere. Nobody will open the door for you. So I can't explain to them how I started. But what we have to do is this business has evolved. They have to now change and look for new ways. And I'm also trying to assist them and tell them, look, now it's got to be more online, more, you know, with technology. You're going to send out things, and that's the thing. Just to give you a brief, this thing, about 8-10 years ago, I had to give a little talk to a branch in Cape Town. It was a small group of people, and at that time I said, you know what, I think what's going to happen in the future, we're going to have to use technology, we're going to have to use one-on-one contact, and we're going to have to find other means to do it. And the example I gave them that time was to that group, I said, look, currently I'm sending out a birthday card. Yeah. Right? I send a birthday card every birthday. I said, now let's look at the consequences. I have to print the birthday card. Then I have to get somebody to write the name in the card. Then I got to get an envelope and put it on there. Yeah. And then I got to put a stamp on there. And then I got to put it in the mail and hope that the postman delivers it. Yes. So I said, you know, if you look at the cost of this whole thing, it's probably about R2.50, R3 that time, you know, per card. I said, all you do now is you've got the phone, you WhatsApp the guy on the day, gets his message, happy birthday or email. Yeah. So, you know, I said, that is what is going to happen in the future, and that is what's happening now. You see, I think we have to evolve. This business has to evolve. Right? Yes. So I'm happy that I embraced it at that time. I couldn't use it fully because I'm not very tech compliant, but I'm now getting people around me to do these things for me. Yeah. No, when I have an idea, I know what to do. You see, what Kobus explained to us the other day is exactly what we need to do. I mean, I've been to Kobus's office. I saw how he used to operate, very professional. And he told us now that he's completely closed his office. You know?
Yes, so, that's right. Yeah.
So he's evolved, you know, because I've been to his office. I know he's very professional, you know.
Definitely.
So I normally do that. When I see somebody doing something, I try to go and see what they're doing. Not only locally, even when I go to America, when I used to go, and I used to see this guy, I said, can I come and see your operation, you know, what you do? Because I think we always can learn from people, you know. Yeah. From systems and programs and that.
When I was searching for your information online, and first thing that came to mind was Facebook. So can you tell us how did you start your Facebook page, and who maintains it, who updates it?
I don't even know what it is, but anyway, please let's go to the next question. I don't know how to answer that.
No problem. Yeah. So do you actually outsource that, or do you actually have your PA doing that for you?
Yeah, no, just in my office. I think this youngster that I got, I think he's doing it, right?
Okay, no, that's brilliant. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. And what has been your life's biggest challenge?
Well, the biggest challenge is, you know, like I said in the beginning, when I was searching for a job, I mean, to find a job and then to get settled and then to get, you know, working and so on. So that's been a major challenge. But other than that, you know, I've always tried to maintain that as long as you work hard, you know, you will be okay, you know. So, I mean, maybe it wasn't what I always wanted it, but I was always thereabouts, you know. I didn't really have to struggle, you know, as such. I always could maintain myself, you know. in a way. Maybe not the way I really want to, but at least I could carry on. You know. So there were challenges which we overcame. I mean, there were times when I had to make decisions. For instance, that's not a challenge. Like when Prudential was taken over by Liberty Life, I had to make a decision whether to go broking or to go with Liberty. And I chose to go with Liberty, and I think that was the right decision I made at the time.
Yeah.
You know? I don't know if I went broking, I don't know what would have happened, but I'm very happy where I am now. So, you know, those are the type of challenges I've had. I really didn't have major challenges in my life.
Okay. You married. How many children do you have?
I have 3 children, 2 boys and a girl. Right. My daughter's got 3 sons. Right. Okay. The one is employed with Etihad Airlines in Abu Dhabi.
Okay.
The one's just completed his BCom now, and the other one is a sports therapist boy, right? Yeah. And my son has got 2 boys. They're both doing medicine. The one is doing medicine here, and the one's doing medicine in Dubai. So next year, the one should be complete. This year, one should be done. And my youngest son has got 2 girls. And the girls are 14 and 16. But he lost his wife last year. That was a bit of a tragedy. They went hiking on Table Mountain, and she collapsed and passed away, you know, in December last year. So we've had a bit of a tragedy, but you know, we're managing. We, as a family, we're trying to cope with that.
Yeah. That's what happens in life, you know. We cherish the moments, but you know, there's a certain.
No, we have to accept what is going to happen. Yeah, there's nothing we can do, you know.
And you did tell us a client story earlier. Is there a client story that has stuck with your mind over the years? Would you like to share with us?
Yeah, there's one client in particular. I'm actually going to see him maybe Monday or Wednesday. This is a classic story. You know, if all of us can do that, then we don't have a problem. He's a medical doctor, right? He's a medical doctor. But when he was studying, you know, when he was at university, he used to board. You know, he used to be boarding with one of my clients. So whenever I used to go and see this client, I used to greet him and he used to greet me, and you know, it was a very cordial relationship. So when he had finished study and he went into practice, he phoned me. And he said, look, you know what, I remember you used to come always there, but I want to meet with you. And I met with him. This is going back many years now, you know. And he said, look, I'm into private practice. I've got this type of money and I want to make this investment and I want to save so much money, but in 10 years, I want to have X amount of money. So I thought about it. Now, those days, there was just 1 or 2 unit trusts those days. You know,
back in the 1960s.
Yeah, we didn't have all this yet. And we had the 10-year endowment policy, you know, not even a 5-year. So I sat down and I worked out numbers, and I must tell you, this is purely by accident. I wasn't clever, right? So anyway, I put a plan together and we said, look, if you do this for 10 years, we'll get you to your R1 million that you're looking for. You know, you put away every month so much. So we started doing that, but we also did his life cover and all his other stuff. But this thing he was putting away religiously. The good thing was when the 10 years were up, instead of R1 million, there was more than R1 million. There was like 1.5, 1.7. So he got quite excited. You see, he now saw that this is something that is quite good, you see. So that's how his story started. And now he became one of my better clients. And, you know, he started listening and we started putting away money. Now, he retired 3 years ago. Right? 3 years ago, he retired because he told me, he says, when I get to 65, I'm going to retire. Although I got a good practice, everything, I'm not going to work. And I didn't believe him, I must be honest with you. Because, you know, most people tell you we're going to retire, but when they got a good practice, they don't go, you know. But this guy retired. He says, I'm going to retire. So I said, okay. So we sat down and he said, I said, now what? He said, now what I want to do is take all this money that I've accumulated, put it, and I want a monthly income, X amount, and I'm going to retire now. And that's where we are now. You know, we got what he wants. Got him where he wants to, and he's very happily retired, you know. So that was a good story from start to finish. You know? Now, if you get clients like that and they listen to you and you go with them, and you also get the joy at the end, you know, if the guy accomplishes his goal.
Yeah.
No, but you don't get people like that. They don't listen. You see, that's the problem.
I think it also takes like you talk about clients, and the reason this client succeeds is that he's got certain thinking or plan, and then he into place.
He's got a plan, and all we did is implement his plan. That's all we did. But he also had an idea. You see. Now, if the youngsters today, if we tell them that, they tell you, no, 55 is too long. We don't know if we live at 55. You know? So I mean, you know what? It's very difficult to say if you're going to live or not. We don't know.
Yeah.
And I mean,
it's only important to start today.
It's only three reasons. Yeah, it's only three reasons why we do this business. We either live too long, or we die too soon, or we need some money in the short term to save. You know, those are the only three reasons we're saving the money here. There's no other reason. I mean, it's all got fancy names and that, but these are the three main principles, really.
Yeah. Do you have young clients, young people as your clients, or maybe your clients' daughters and sons as your clients? For young people, how do you try to engage and all that?
Yeah, you see, Kevin, I've been thinking about this, and that is why I'm trying to get other youngsters in. You see, I'm at an age now where I can deal with, say, people of between 55 and 70.
Yeah.
You know, I can deal in that range, you know. Now I need somebody in my practice to do the 40 to 55 and say the 25 to 40. You know, so I need about 3 people. I think the ideal situation is you've got 3 or 4 people with different ages. Because I'll give you an example. Yeah. Let's assume I go and see a youngster of 23, or 24, or 25. Yeah. Now, you know, our interests are different.
That's true.
I mean, definitely, right? Yeah. I mean, what I talk about, he may not be interested. I mean, if he starts talking about a motor car and, you know, the engine, mag wheels, you know, I won't even know what to tell him. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I won't be able to keep the conversation going, you know. So we need people in that age group to talk. And that is, I think, where I'm trying to go to, you know, to try and get people in this. I've always had this idea that, you know, people will talk to their age group. Yeah. They can identify, you know, with them. And that is the way to build a practice, really. You see, it's a bit too late for me, but if I had known what I know now from the beginning, you know, I would do something like Kobus is doing, you know, and start putting things in place.
Ebrahim, let's get to quickfire questions. So first of all is, are you, what kind of your hobby? You know, are you a gardener? Are you an outdoor person? Are you a sports person? Do you play golf?
I like sports, right? Now, I used to play cricket and soccer. So those are my 2 main interests, right? Yeah. I did attempt to play golf, but I was a total failure. So, you know, the golf clubs are gone. Yeah. I threw them in the sea, so they won't even come back again. So, and I still take a very keen interest in the cricket and the soccer. Yeah. You know, so I'm quite involved. I don't play anymore, but I mean, I'm very interested. So I follow very, very rigorously.
You know, so like right now, the India and South Africa tour.
Well, South Africa just won today, so.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good news. Then second question: what's your favorite drink?
My favorite drink is either cappuccino, or a soft drink could be a Coke Zero or Coke Diet.
All right. And the last question is, what is something new happening in your life right now?
Well, what is happening new is I'm trying to learn technology. You know, that is what's happening. I'm trying to adjust to this new way of life.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is what is happening. And I'm very keen to get involved because I know if I put my mind to it and if I get the right person here with me, I will. I may not be able to do it quickly, but I will slowly learn. And I think I've got a challenge now to try and do something new.
Yeah, no.
As long as I do that, I keep my mind fresh, you know.
the fact we're doing this Zoom meeting interview, it shows that you are still learning new technology, how to use it, and so that's great, you know.
No, I want to learn because I see that is the future. It's, you know, adapt or die. You know, if you don't do this, you're going to be gone.
Yeah,
definitely. You know, especially what's happened in the last 2 years. If we don't embrace the technology now, I think you won't be in practice for very long.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Whichever way it is, we need to get the technology. Even if I have to employ somebody to do it, but I have to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. And in terms of like MDRT, when did you join as MDRT member? Which year was it? 86? 77. Okay.
Yeah.
So
I call it, that was the first time I joined in 77. Okay. I've been 43 years now a member.
Yeah.
And I've been top of the table, I think, I'm not sure how many years, but I've been caught top, you know. And the good thing is that I've attended so many meetings. I really enjoyed these meetings, you know. Really, because in the earlier days there were some, I don't say now they aren't, but there were some very, very good and effective speakers, you know. I mean, if I can take my mind back, I listened to Les Brown, you know, and I mean, if you look at his story, you know, how he started. I mean, if you listen to that story, I think everybody will believe in themselves that they can do something, you know, because the man started, everybody wrote him off, you know, and he became one of the greatest speakers, you know, in the world. So, you know, and then we had the Italian guy, Leo Buscaglia, you know, and, you know, he taught me some lessons, you know. He says he was at boarding school and he phoned his mother and he said he's short of money and he's starving. So his mother said, well, starve. I'm not sending you money, you starve. It's your problem, you know. So you learn all these lessons with these guys over the years, you know. So,
yeah. No, that's
so you start understanding that you're not the only guy struggling. There's other people as well.
Sure. Okay. And are you still looking forward to attending more meetings?
I do, and that came from Mehdi. You know, Mehdi used to always tell me, because his story was when he came from Iran, he couldn't speak a word of English. You know, when he landed in America, you know, and then the way he started his businesses. Those days they used to go and collect in the building, so he used to go and collect premiums in the flats, you know. And that's how he started his business, and he started learning English. You know? So he always told me that you must go to meetings, you must sit in the first row so you don't fall asleep, you know. So and you must listen to them and do what they tell you. You see, he used to always tell me, if you ever see me in a meeting, you'll say I'm in the first or second row. Because he told me, so you sit there, you won't fall asleep.
Ebrahim, thanks very much for your time, for sharing this time with us and your life story and experience. And until next time, bye.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure being with you, and thank you very much for the opportunity. And I hope that it can assist somebody now from here, you know, somebody that listens to this interview.
Okay.
And you know what Tony Gordon taught me? Let me tell you what Tony Gordon taught me before I go off.
Yeah.
He said, you know, when David, when the guy was sculpting David, you know, the David, you know, the sculptor, the guy who made David, you know, in Rome, you know, David. The one who sculptured it and made. Before that man started, he says, that was a very rough stone.
Yeah.
But that man, in his mind, said, you know what? My David is in my head. And from this stone, I'm going to make my David. So he says, you know what? It was a rough stone. Nobody could ever imagine that he would carve out such a nice David from there. So he told me one day, he says, you must never give up. It doesn't matter how bad it looks, it's always going to be. If it's in your mind, you're going to get it right.
Yeah, the power of visualizing.
Yeah, he says, that man, that sculpture, knew in his head what he wanted. Before he says, although that was rough, nobody gave him a chance. He said, no, I know my David's in my head. He's going to come out here.
Thanks for watching. Thumbs up if you like this episode. and share it with your friends.